welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be drawing this beautiful tiger wading in some water, and the water is really going to be a challenge for me as I have never done water before, but I'm going to focus on the tiger first as that is my strong point. I have already outlined my sketch here. I've done it just slightly darker than I normally would so you can see it on the camera. And the materials I will be using is a brush to wipe away any dust that I might have. I also have a Factus BM2 eraser. It's just a little eraser for getting into tiny little spots and adding some highlights. You can also use the mono eraser. I'm also going to be using a combination of Prismacolors and Faber Castell GoldFaber pencils. So in the Prismacolors, I'm going to be using a cool gray 20% and the Sepia pen. I'm also going to be using the white in the Prismacolors because it is a lot creamier and makes a blend really nice for the eyes. For the Faber-Castell pencils, I will be using the black. I will be using the Cobalt Green. I will be using the yellow ochre. And I will also be using the burnt sienna. Now, these are the pencils that I have picked out primarily for outlining the stripes and doing the eyes of the tiger, which we will be doing in this first video. So let's go ahead and get started. I also have just a piece of tracing paper that I folded in half that I use to rest my hand on so that I don't smudge or smear anything. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lighten up the eyes slightly, just remove some of the graphite so that it doesn't show through the colored pencil. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sepia pencil and I'm just going to roughly outline the dark areas of the eye. And I'm just going to watch my reference photo and make sure that I have everything put in the right place. And I'm going to do this very, very lightly. If you do this lightly in the beginning, you'll be able to erase it and not really take too much of the tooth of the paper. You go in too dark too quickly and you're going to be stuck with the marks that you put down. So, this tiger, I love doing tiger's eyes because they are very colorful. They have very orangey eyes, but because this tiger is wading in a pond, it's got some of that bluish green reflecting in its eyes as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to lightly shade in. I'm holding the pencil as far back as I can because I tend to be very heavy-handed, so I want to make sure that I'm going in nice and lightly. Just to block in the colors. Right now I'm not worried about too much about the direction. I do want to make sure that I'm following the eye and I'm not going against it like this, but I'm not worried about any kind of fur strokes or anything like that at this point in time. I just want to get the shading in. This will really help us to kind of get an idea of the size of the eye and make sure that we have it in correctly. I'm also going to shade in the pupil. Again, don't go in with your black pencil and just start darkening the pupil as dark as you can, because there's more than just black to the pupil. You've also got some blues and sometimes some purples or browns depending on the surrounding area, and it adds a lot more depth. I like to use the indigo blue when I'm using black because it adds a really nice depth to it. And that is one thing I did not add to my pencil list when I was going through them in the beginning, but I may use. So now that I've blocked in the first eye, I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing over here with the second eye. Again, very lightly. I'm going to go through and just kind of very lightly erase my pencil mark so it doesn't shine through. A lot of people think that when you use an eraser, it's because you've made a lot of mistakes. You know, the more you use an eraser, the more mistakes you've made, and that's not true. My eraser is a tool just like my colored pencils are. I use it to lighten up areas, to add highlights to areas. It is a great tool, so don't be afraid to use your eraser. But try not to go too hard because you don't want to erase the tooth of the paper. I'm leaving the highlights open. Just enough. I actually made that pupil just a little too big, so I'm just going in. This is why we do this very lightly in the beginning. So I'm just going to lightly erase. Try that again. Again, following the way the eye is positioned, we're just going to darken that up a bit. I'm using very, very light pressure, not going too dark right away. Okay, so now I have both eyes blocked in. I am pretty happy with the way they look right now. Adjustments as I need to on the reference photo. I usually have my reference photo on either an iPad or a computer or my phone, and I like to do that because I can then zoom into the picture and I can get better detail. But if you do print out your photo, make sure that you use the colors that you're using from that photo and don't go back and forth to the computer, because the computer's colors are different than a printer's colors. Okay, so now that we have the outline of the eye done, we are going to go ahead on in with our yellow ochre. And our yellow ochre is going to give us a nice little base coat for the yellow part of the eye. And again, going in with a very light hand. One thing with colored pencils is you want to make sure that you continuously build. So don't burnish right away, otherwise you won't be able to add on any more colors. So what I'm doing is very lightly going in a circular motion around the entire iris. Filling in as much of the tooth as I can with this yellow ochre. And then I am going to take the burnt sienna and I'm going to go right along the outside edge, again in a very soft circular motion, kind of blending it in with the sepia pencil. This is going to make the eyeball look spherical. So you want to make sure that you're and you're also going to do it right around the pupil as well. The darkest part of the eyes are going to be right around the pupil and also right around the outside of the iris. Now in this photograph, because the tiger is wading through water, there is like a greenish bluish tone right around the pupil as well. So we're just going to add that in. And on this eye, it's more so on this side, right here. And again, just small circular motions, very, very lightly. Then we're going to take the sepia pencil and we're going to add just a little bit of shadow right on top. Now I know what you're thinking, this probably looks really funny. It's very grainy looking. This is what's known as the ugly stage. This is a stage I had a really hard time getting past. I have only been doing colored pencils for about a year, and the ugly stage was a big hindrance for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white colored pencil and I'm going to very lightly just blend the colors together. I don't want to burnish yet because I want to be able to add more colors on top, but I kind of want to smooth everything out. This will also help to knock back some of the color a little bit. I'm just going to go very lightly with that. And then I'm going to take my black colored pencil and I'm just going to go in and darken up that pupil. I'm also going to darken up the outside of the eye. We want to make it look like the eyeball is sitting inside this area. Contrast is key when doing realism, so you want to make sure. I have a huge problem with not going dark enough, especially in an area that is pretty light. I don't want to go too dark on the shadows when I tend to go way too light and then it doesn't look right. And sometimes all you need is just to darken up those areas a bit. So pay attention to the contrast. And just build it up slowly. So now we're going to go back with the same colors we were using before, and we're just going to build them up again. So I'm going to go in with my yellow ochre again. And circular motions. I'm just going to go through and add that yellow in there, and then going in with the burnt sienna. You got to remember that there are shadows from the eyelid, and we're going to have some shadows in here as well. So you want to make sure you get those shadows in. And again, we're going to go in with the Cobalt Green. I'm going to lighten up that yellow a little bit. I am going to take my Prismacolor Indigo blue, and I'm just going to add that. I got stuff falling off my desk everywhere. Into the pupil here. And I'm also going to add that a little bit into the black area here. What this is going to do is create a little bit more depth. And then we'll just go back over it again with the black. Very important to just layer your colors, because that is what's going to give you your depth and your realism. Just take your time with it. I'm going to go back over with my white and just very gently, again, not burnishing, but blending. I think I'm going to go back through with the burnt sienna, add a little bit more shadows. And I think I'm even going to go in with a little bit of the sepia and do the same thing. And then again, just blend. It all together, and that's what's going to give you that nice glassy appearance with the eye. So now that we've done that one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing with the other one. I'm going to go in with my black and I'm going to outline the pupil. And the dark area around the eye. Close attention to my reference photo, making sure that everything is still where it should be, because just because you've traced it on there doesn't mean that it's set in stone. You just want to pay really close attention to that. So again, I'm going in with the yellow ochre, Faber Castell yellow ochre, and in small circles, covering the entire eye. You want to be careful not to get it too close to the black, otherwise it's going to get a little bit muddy. And then we'll take the burnt sienna and we'll go underneath the eyelid here and around the outside of the eye, making sure to blend into the black so there's no harsh lines. And on this eye, the green is a little bit more on this side, and it actually stretches all the way over to the other side. And we're just going to blend a little bit with the white. Back and darken up some of those shadows. This is a very slow process. You want to make sure you just take your time and get it right. The eyeballs in this particular photo aren't very detailed. They have quite a nice color to them because they've got the green in them, but they're not overly detailed. But you do want to pay attention. A lot of times cats you'll see the veins going through their eyes, so you want to pay attention to details like that, because the more details that you can put in, the more realistic it's going to look. But these aren't really overly detailed, so I'm not going to put stuff in that's not there. And then I'm going to take my indigo blue and sharpen it because it's quite dull. And for my sharpener, I'm just using a regular generic sharpener, nothing special. And so now I'm going to go in and just add some depth to that with the indigo blue. And then just go back over it again with the black. And I'm pretty happy with the way those eyes are looking right now. The eyes are something I always do first, because it doesn't matter how good the portrait comes out. If the eyes don't look right, then it's not going to be right. So touch that one up just a bit. There's a little more shadow in this side of the eye than there is on that side, which is why this side looks a little bit darker. Just want to make sure I get everything light where it should be and dark where it should be. And take the burnt sienna again and just go around the outside of the eye. Add a little bit more depth. And then blend it out a little bit. So that's looking pretty good. I'm very happy with that. So now the next thing that I tend to do is in any portrait, after I've done the eyes, I tend to go through and map out all the dark areas. This helps me to get a better view of how it's going to look and make sure everything's in its right place, but it also allows me to get the fur direction down, which is extremely important because the direction of the fur will determine bone structure and things like that. So it's very, very important. Now with the tiger, what I'm going to do is go through and do all the stripes and the dark parts of the ear and around the nose and then the stripes down the back. And this will give us a really good idea of how the tiger is going to look. So I simply usually I start right near the eye. I'm going to start right over here and referring to my reference photo, I'm going to go in the direction of the fur. So this tiger has I'm making very, very small little strokes like this, really close together, very, very lightly, holding the pencil very far back. And not really worrying too much about detail. More attention to shapes and fur direction. So we had one mark there, and then there's another one sitting right underneath of it, kind of going in the same direction. Like so. Now generally, for most animals, not all animals, but for most animals, the fur around the eye will flow in this direction underneath. It'll go up this way and it'll come around this way. So you really need to pay attention to the direction of the fur and where the changes are. That's extremely important. There's another patch right here. I'm also trying to pick out the shapes of these stripes. They don't have to be exactly perfect, but get them as close as you can. Okay, we also have a couple of little tiny spots right here. I'm just going to put in almost like little freckles right there. Then we have another little piece right here. So as you can see, this is a very long process, but take your time with it because this is a crucial part of. So now we have kind of, when I look at shapes and stuff, I kind of see, you know, oh, this looks like a smiley face or whatever. But right here, right around in here, we have what looks like an F. So it kind of goes like this. And then we have a piece that goes like this. And we have another piece that comes down here like this. And we got like a little F right there. So yeah, it's whatever helps you get those shapes in. So we have another one right next to the letter F here that's going to go this way. And this is actually quite a large one. So we're going to just add this in slowly. We're not going to start making big strokes. We want to add this in very slowly. Again, we're not paying attention to detail. We are just, at least not at this point, you're just marking in fur direction. Where you hold your pencil is extremely important. The further back you hold your pencil, like I'm doing right now, the less control you have, and that's good because you're not able to put as much pressure down on the pencil. The closer you hold it to the tip, the more pressure you're going to be able to put down. So when you want to do something very lightly, you want to hold it far away from the tip because you won't be able to add as much pressure. I am someone who is very, very heavy-handed, especially with the Prismacolor pencils because they go on so smoothly, which is why the Faber Castells are great for me because they're a little bit of a firmer pencil, more firm pencil. And it takes a lot for me to add a lot of pressure down. I'm not really worrying too much about erasing the graphite on this part because these will eventually be very, very dark. So this part I'm not overly concerned with, but you can go through and erase the graphite on these. I've wanted to do this drawing for quite some time, but the water has put me off because I've never done water, and water is a very challenging thing to do in any medium. But I decided, since this channel is all about documenting my learning process, that I might as well try something I haven't done before. So I wanted to get the tiger in because that is something that I knew I was fairly confident in. I started doing colored pencil art about a year ago and I really enjoy it. It has definitely taught me a lot of patience. I still don't have quite enough, but I'm getting there. As you can see, this takes a very, very long time. And this is just darkening in. This is not even layering or anything else. So we have some other spots right here where we've got some patches of dark fur. The other challenge of this tiger too is it does have some white fur, and we're doing white fur on white paper, which is always a challenge in and of itself. So it's something that is just going to have to take some time. There's like a little arrow right here. It's amazing the little shapes you find when you just look at the shapes. I've heard too that blurring the picture can help as well. It helps get rid of some of the detail that may prohibit you from just seeing the shapes. So you can always go on to like a photo editor like Photoshop or anything like that and just blur the photo so you just see shapes and colors. Alright, so we're getting up here towards the top of the head, so we're going to want to pay attention because right here everything's going towards the ear, but as we come towards this part of the head, it's going to start coming up more and then turning more towards this ear. So we want to kind of pay attention a little bit more. So for instance, right here there's a little spot, and this one is, instead of going this way, is going to go up. So we're just going to add some small little marks here. Small, tiny little spots. Alright. Come back over here. I do kind of bounce around a little bit. Don't really know why I do that. Could be my ADD, who knows. But again, I always pay attention to where the fur is pointing. Right here we have some that is going. This is a very thin line right here that we have going. So this fur is going this way, and then it's curving down this way. So we want to make sure we get that curve in there. Alright, so we're almost done with this side of the head. Started going this way, and now we're going to start curving up towards the middle here. These tigers tend to have almost like a line right here in the middle. It's not really drawn there, although it looks like it could be, but it kind of separates the two halves of the head. Again, these may not be exactly perfect on, and that's okay. Well, the general idea doesn't have to be exactly perfect, because every tiger, every animal is going to be slightly different. And then at the top of the head here, we have just a small patch here. Okay, so we have pretty much finished that side of the head. We're going to jump down here and we're going to add some little whisker spots here. Again, I'm not doing like circular motions, I'm doing just in the direction of the fur, just tiny little spots. Some of them are joined together, some are not. It's just kind of random. And so this part of the head is pretty much done, and we're going to do the same thing on this side for the rest of this head and for the body. Now right around the nose, you'll see there's these like little wings come down. Going to the mouth. So we're just going to go ahead and darken those areas in very, very lightly. This area is so dark, I'm not worried about fur direction, I'm just worried about getting in the shadows so I can see where my dark areas are. Again, staying very, very light with the pencil. Ear direction of the fur kind of goes up and over. So that's what we're doing right here, up off the head, up and over the ear. And then it comes back down again. And then right in here in the middle we have a little dark area too. So we're going to map that in real quick too. Go ahead and do this other part of the ear right here. Out a little bit so that you can see. And these stripes are a lot thinner, so I'm just going to quickly sketch those in. Always make these larger if we need to, but for the most part the kind of curls here a little bit. The fur is wet, so it kind of curls right here when it gets down to his stomach. And it goes around his rib cage, down, and then curls like so. Close attention to my reference photo, where the lines are, where they start, where they stop, things like that. Look over it again, I think that's pretty good. Very happy with the way that looks, and again, it is just basically a rough idea of now how it's going to look. Everything's going to be in its place. This is going to be a little bit darker down here. This is going to come out a little bit like that. But for the most part now we have a general idea. So that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. And when we come back next time, we'll start adding some color to this beautiful tiger. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.